and welcome to another episode of Next Up Live. Today we're talking about changing the perception of child nutrition through marketing and communication, and let's get some introductions.
Hey Marlon, I'm Carolyn White. I am our Senior Director of Growth Marketing over at LINQ. Excited to be here today and help us drive this conversation. And I work very closely with Nisha.
Hi, Carolyn and Marlon. Thank you for having me here.
My pleasure.
My name is Isha Bagapelli. I'm the SVP of Marketing at LINQ. I live in Austin, Texas with my 5-year-old and my very energetic golden doodle.
Oh, we're getting personal real quick. I like it. I got nothing from Carolyn.
I thought this was supposed to be a very personal conversation.
It is,
right?
it is.
Marlon, thanks for having me here. I'm Jen Smith, and I am the Sales Account Manager for Tyson K-12 here in Florida. And prior to joining the Tyson team, I was the Head of Marketing and Innovation for Orange County Public Schools Food Nutrition Services. And I'm really stoked to be here with Karen and Scotty and your whole team.
Awesome, thanks.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Scotty Ferguson. I'm the Customer Planning and Development Manager for Tyson Foods K-12 division. I cover the Southeast and Southwest regions. Currently reside in North Louisiana.
You just moved back, right?
Just moved back. Left the Sunshine State behind to go back home to Union Parish.
Mardi Gras.
So aren't you like the better version of Jen?
What?
Yeah, of course.
We go do that, Marlon.
Of course.
I mean, you were just talking about that, so I had to point that out.
Right?
I don't know
Yeah.
him
We're
well
here
enough
to talk
yet.
about marketing and communication.
I'm glad somebody recognized it. Let's
I
put
got
that
you.
poll
I
up.
got you.
How much did he pay you?
A lot. Got paid a
I
lot.
saw him slip him some dollars,
right.
some dollar bills. So I'm Karen Rao, and I'm from Alachua County, Gainesville, Florida. Go Gators!
Go Gators.
I'm also a graduate of UF, and I have worked with Alachua County Food Nutrition for 9 years. Recently promoted to a supervisor. Prior to that, I did all of the marketing and communications, community outreach, that type of thing, which I'm still doing that as well. So promotion, but still doing my old job too. So love communicating with parents and the students, taste testing great items that our brokers bring us to try and bring new food items into our students.
So talk to us about your experience communicating with parents. What's that like? I know parents can be kind of testy at times.
Yeah, it can be super challenging, but I think it's really important to develop that relationship with them. I tell all of our new staff members when we're meeting with them that I have been up sometimes at 11 o'clock at night, instant messaging parents, trying to make sure I develop that relationship, make sure they're comfortable and they know that they can send their child to school and get a good healthy meal and meet all of their needs.
So at Alachua, do you guys respond back in the actual post, or are you sending DMs?
I do both because I can have more of a organic conversation with the parents and address a lot of details, but I also like to answer it right in the post because I want other people to see that I'm handling it and I'm right on top of things and making sure they're
That you're super responsive.
yeah, super responsive. We just had a parent the other day call. Well, they actually went through the county PTA, which, you know, even when you see people on social media complaining about a restaurant, people are always like, did you go right to that restaurant and complain instead of bringing it right on social media? So this parent had reached out to the county PTA. They reached out to us. I drafted, of course, this huge email of everything that we do. We meet meal patterns. They were concerned about the portion size that their kids were getting. And we have a customization line at our middle and high schools. So the kids go through and create their meal and pick as many choices that they want to. But this child went through and just did nachos and queso cheese and went home and told their parents, I'm hungry. So we went back, I talked to the person, the supervisor for that school went there, and the comment back from that parent was like, gosh, you guys are the real deal. You guys addressed my concern, you made sure that I was heard, and that, you know, a lot of people are lip service lately.
Yes.
So I think it's really important to develop that relationship and let them know that we really care. So
what kind of items do you have on your customization line? Because I know there's a perception of child nutrition that it's nothing but hot dogs, right? So what do you guys offer in your line?
So we like to mimic what they're seeing out there in the quick serve restaurants. So all of the build your own popular stuff that's out there right now is what we have. So they go through and they pick their base, their protein, all of their veggies. their fruit, of course,
Yeah.
and then their milk or whatever. But they are creating that meal exactly the way they want it. So we always have nachos and a salad base that they can choose every day. And then other days we mix up the protein. So they may have pasta one day, and then they can add meatballs on it. And then we have a featured sauce. So we switch that up every day, but they can always know that they have that same choice of, they can create that Mexican flair. So we try and do like Asian Mondays, Fiesta Tuesdays, and home style favorites, that kind of thing. So it's always something new.
And you guys have your program branded, correct?
Yep, we did. We've actually gone through a couple different versions, but it's called Your Choice Fresh. And we just redid the logo 2 years ago.
Okay.
So
Scotty and Jen, why do you think branding is important for child nutrition programs these days?
Well, the care that goes into these programs is so big, and so to have that brand and to have the students be able to recognize and put their trust into that brand, as well as the parents. You know, school food service has changed wildly since the parents of school-aged children were in school themselves. So to have that brand and to be able to communicate that out, again, to build that trust and keep the kids coming back. I mean, they've got so many choices throughout the day. When they have that trust in the school food service program, your program will be unstoppable.
Yeah, it's like you have to brand because you're competing with the restaurants out there and their branding, but you guys are the biggest show in town, so.
when I first started, that was one of my biggest initiatives, was to show that we use brand name products, because that perception that we're just using a bunch of stuff that we get from who knows where.
Right. The mystery meat.
Yeah, the packaging is important to see those brand names. I did a big flyer that we put up on social media and in the cafeterias and our menu board signage that showed all of the name brand stuff that we used, because it's important. If it's something they recognize from home, they're going to choose to eat with us. So.
Speaking about the menu boards, and Scotty, you guys provide districts with images and stuff for menu boards, right? Help with branding and marketing and all that?
Yes, we do. Basically, if any promotion that they're running, they can reach out to us. We can provide images. If they have any social media content that they want to kind of develop, we can do that for them as well, to put right up on your digital menu boards. You know, sometimes school managers get busy. With the digital menu boards, you can control that right from the office, just push it right out. You don't have to worry about them, the managers putting it up. So I love that aspect.
So if I need help with social media, I can just go to you and you'll create my post for me? Only districts.
Yeah, only districts.
Cool. So what message are you trying to convey to the community about your program? Anything specific?
I think the biggest thing is that, we're a big relief to the parents every morning. When I first started and interviewed with my director, Maria, she asked if my kids ate school lunch. Well, I was that stay-at-home mom. I was the PTA president, all of the parents that we're trying to target. And so she said, do your kids eat school lunch? And I said, nope, they sure don't. But from that day forward, once I got the job, my kids ate school lunch, and it was so much easier in the morning, to just say, hey, here's what they're offering at school today. They've got lots of different options, because in our program we offer, in the elementary levels, a salad, fresh made farm to school salad every day. We've got a sandwich option, and then the hot option, and then a lot of extra add-ons if the manager wants to add grilled cheese or that kind of thing. But just ease of access, that we have healthy options for them, and that they can feel good sending their kid to school knowing they're getting a good meal.
Yeah.
So there's something super important about that, Marlon, because I think, as a parent and as somebody who works in this industry, it's something that has been very apparent to me, is that it's not only educating the parents about how nutritious the food is, but then giving the parents the tool set to educate their kids.
Yeah.
And have those conversations at home and talk about, what's healthy, what's a healthy food, what's a non-healthy food. And I think in my son's school, they do something called go foods and no-go foods, and when they build different types of foods that go into each of these. And so we made a chart at home that was just based off of his diet and things he liked, because he's a very picky eater. And so we had to go over what are the things that are his go foods and his no-go foods. And so I think for schools, it really would behoove them to help provide these toolkits to the parents to then sit down with their kids and also talk to them about it.
Then they create the parallel between at home and at school, and they see those Go Foods at school.
Yeah, exactly.
And they get there.
Yeah.
I've had to have that exact conversation with parents. Like they'll come up, call us up and say, my kid chose the muffin pack today. Well, we have our menu signage with all of the pictures of our food, and I try to make sure I don't use as many stock photos. I want to make sure it's the real food that they're going to see on the line, and they can look at the menu with their child and decide what they want to eat. So I had to tell parents that. Go through our menu, talk to them about what choices they can have and what you would encourage them to choose for the day.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
the little angel on your shoulder. Mama wouldn't want me to pick that. So.
So Nisha, did your perception of child nutrition change once you got into K-12?
Absolutely. So, you know, I say it all the time. I'm like, before I was in this industry, I did not realize the amount of work that it took to put those menus together. I think that, you know, just as just a parent who doesn't see what goes on behind the scenes in the kitchen, and that's something that we miss out. I think it's a huge gap right now with educating the parents of here's how this is how labor intensive it is. This is how much planning goes into, you know, if our carrots don't arrive on time or if we have to switch all of a sudden. This is what we have to do in the back end. I get it now, and so now it's funny, I'll sit my friends down and actually sit them down and say, did you know that this is how long it took them to put this month's calendar together?
And no one ever knows.
No one ever knows.
No one knows.
I have kids that are not even in kindergarten yet. They're not at that age of 5 to go yet, but same as Nisha, learned so much more already, and then same as you, Karen, of like truly understanding better. And it's just, there is a little bit of that gap for parents to understand how much work and thought and nutrition really does go in.
Well, I think the biggest thing is everybody still has such a stigma or a negative perception of school meal service. So that's why I like I said, to have the real pictures, and this is what's going on, and posting pictures from our line and the line setup. I'm all about presentation, and our managers know and our staff knows that once it's on the line, it doesn't matter what kind of crazy is going on in the back of the house, that front of the line better greet your customers in a great way where they enjoy coming through the line and picking something fresh that you just made for them. And you know,
that's such a great point. You know, just showcasing even the folks who are behind the scenes, who are making the food and
the
equipment,
the
type
food
of
itself,
how you're putting together, you know, the pizza, or how you're putting together that entire array of food. Our team really loves Joe Urban at Greenville County, because he does such a great job of showcasing all these fresh food. And every single time we're on his social media and we'll look through his social, we're like, that's what I want to eat for lunch. And so just making it a little bit more lively and fun and integrating the community, I think, is so important. So that way we feel vested in wanting our kids to eat there, right? And frankly, I mean, when I read that menu, I tell Norlin all the time, I'll like read about the parfaits that they have for breakfast, and you know, the fiesta bowls that they have, and I'll think this is way better than what I'm eating right now.
Well, and I think school districts too that are on social media, they've really kind of stepped it up and have shown like what goes into it. That it's more, you know, when I was at the district, our students used to think that it was run by a bunch of microwaves in the back. And you've got school districts now, like you were saying, Greenwood, you've got, Greenville, you've got Alachua, you've got Gwinnett, you've got Orange County, you've got all of these districts that are really showcasing the work
setting
that goes into these meals.
Example and a template almost for others.
And it changes the way that people view. It's not, you know, just come down the line, get your sloppy joes and move on, that there's a lot of care and a lot of time and effort put into it and a lot of thought.
So we actually ran a couple of polls while we were talking, and Bree is online as well. And shout out, I see a number of Texas folks and Texas districts on. So shout out to everyone from Texas on.
Southwest.
Nisha and I came here from Texas. But we asked a couple of people about currently using social media and then their experience level. And a significant amount are currently using social media and are pretty comfortable with it. But actually 5% are not yet and want to. So what are maybe some tips for them to get comfortable and start that social media and kind of really get going to develop that relationship and start to change that perception?
This is where Scotty can chime in, since he knows all about it.
So the first step is basically to check your district's policy for as far as social media before you even get started. Then once you get the permissions with it, go ahead and start building your social media pages to kind of find out where your customers are, whether it's a student, parent, teacher, whoever. Just find out where they are and then see what platform that would work best for that.
Real quick, so do you guys find it best when the child nutrition program uses the district social handle or has their own?
It's a great question.
Okay.
Because we've actually talked about this, Nisha and I, about the nutrition website as well.
So it's best to have your own because you can control your own content, but have the district share your
Yes.
content.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is
That
what
was
you do,
something that
Karen?
we used to do in Orange, both when Scotty and I both worked there. We would share our content and we worked closely with our district team
Yeah.
that ran their social media because they have different followers. Some people may not even think to look for the food service program for a school or for the district. But they follow what the district itself is doing and saying.
Yeah.
Then it's also important to share with the schools because sometimes they don't want to hear from the district or food service, so they want to get information directly from their school. So check to see if the school has social media handles and follow those.
Yeah, and I think the program having their own social handle is important too because once again, you're building your brand. And at the end of the day, the district isn't going to be as they're not going to post content as urgently for you guys as you would for yourself. So it's really important that if you're able to, maybe want to fight for it, but your program should have their own social media accounts.
Yes.
There should also be some focused attention there, right? Because I think the district will also be dealing with PTA issues or a lot of other issues where you have that focused attention that's really
We actually, over the pandemic, became like a shining light. They kept asking us, what do you have to share today? How many meals have
That
y'all
was the
come up
positive.
to?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
all of the negative stuff about virtual learning and, parents upset having to teach their kids at home, the district was reaching out like, what can we share from food service today? Because it was all feel-good stuff.
Yeah.
But so I didn't know you did the social media for Orange County when you were there, but when I first started doing my own stuff, even when Jen was doing it, I would kind of compare my post with your post and see who got the most likes that day. And so
I didn't know we were in competition.
So we know who won, right?
Right.
well, sometimes I did pretty good. But I felt like they were such a large district that, we only have like 32,000 students in our district. So when I would get up to 100 likes or more, things like that on my post, and I was like, I did pretty good today.
And I love the friendly competition because everybody knows in child nutrition we all work together collaboratively. Like we're all on the same team, but it's good to have that friendly competition.
Yeah.
And plus, you guys are learning from each other at the same time by
That makes it
competing,
fun.
and you're growing.
Yeah.
You're making each other better.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like what with Joe, and everyone in the chat loves Joe just as much as we all do. But it's setting a template for everyone to get up and running and to kind of have that across the nation, that high caliber of education and.
Well, when Bree was
awareness.
in Lee County, she did a lot of fabulous little fun posts and things. So that was always kind of neat to see. And
And she was competing
just-
with you guys too.
Oh,
She definitely was.
So who ultimately won?
we all were
Everyone,
winners.
everyone.
The kids
That's
won.
right.
The
Because
kids
we
won.
were
Yeah.
spreading the wonderful things that school food service does.
And that's what's cool about the K-12 food service industry is we're not in competition with each other. There was no way that our social media posts were going to steal kids away from Alachua
Yeah.
County or any
Yeah.
other county,
Yeah.
but we were able to, we'll go with borrow some things that our friends and neighbors have been doing that then turned out to be successful for our students too.
Yeah. you're
Yeah,
right.
and that's actually a really interesting perspective because I think, we have to recognize that our generation is changing too, right? And so catering to them over the years, so learning and borrowing ideas, and I know we do it in our industry, right, to try to figure out how to cater to the next generation of folks who are in our schools because they consume information very differently than the previous years. And so trying to figure out, okay, is it social media? So now if it was Instagram at one point and now it's TikTok versus, what's the new one? Twitch?
I thought TikTok was the
I
new
don't
one.
know.
Yeah. Twitch is old.
TikTok's not the new
I
one
can't
anymore.
keep up.
There's
Hard
many
to
of 'em.
market to the K through 12 area though, because you've got so many people that you're trying to hit: the kids, the parents, the teachers, the faculty, the community in general. You know, so
And it's all different messages.
Right.
it's all different messages. It's really challenging. So, you know, I just feel that if I can get people talking positive, one person at a time. When our food truck came out and we were doing some stuff with that, some kids, I filmed them and posted on our social media, and they were sharing it on theirs. And I was like, oh my God, we've gone viral finally, you know, with school food service, because they were sharing it. And there's a young man, he graduated, I think he's going on 4 years ago, he's graduated, but he still reaches out to me every time that comes up on his memories. And he said, Miss Karen, that was like my favorite memory of high school, was doing that with you guys and talking to you. We had him and his buddies on a panel for our all staff meeting. We brought him in and had him talking to all of the staff and the managers about the relationships, that when they come in the morning, and that may be the only high they get, you know, and you know, it's the bright spot coming into the cafeteria every
And
day.
that's a
So-
game changer for communication too, is finding a student or
Yes.
an on
influencer.
campus.
So that's what I was about to say. So in
influencer.
technical terms, that's influencer marketing.
Yes.
Which aligns to going viral. Wait, so we have a current poll just up right now, which I want to continue to run for a bit, but a lot of Facebook, a lot of Instagram, a lot of newsletters actually, and some print advertising. And there are a handful of people out here who are using TikTok, which
Well, they should share their TikTok handles so we can
yes,
follow them.
yeah.
Everybody share your
That's great.
socials.
Share your socials, share us your TikTok handles, and we'll check them out. But I think Facebook and Instagram definitely seem like leaning in. But what are some other tools that you guys have seen used, or that you guys use aside from just the social and the Facebook?
Hootsuite was one that we use to post on social. Basically, you would make your posts. You can do it ahead of time, so you don't have to be scrambling the day of. Hey, what am I going to post today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just post it and forget about it.
Yeah.
That was a great tool.
We also had our managers do like PTA meetings, or like welcome back breakfast, or back to school meetings and that kind of stuff. So it was another way to still get that message out. And then even let them know that you're on social media and, hey, follow us here for daily updates and that kind of stuff. But yeah, the newsletters is interesting. I know, you know, sharing along with what the school districts are doing, or what the district itself is doing. Trying to think what else.
Our
other
district
modes.
just sent something out the other day. They're going to go, I can't remember what the name of the program is, but no more flyers or paper trail going home to the families. So I'm excited about it, because I can interject more of our stuff and make sure that parents are seeing it and it's not getting lost in a backpack. So I was thrilled to see that coming about. But I also use Constant Contact, so that kind of has a little bit of the same kind of feature as Hootsuite, where you can post from there as well, because we use that for an internal manager communication every week, and then the social media stuff is on there as well, and you can look at analytics and all that kind of stuff in one spot.
Yeah, we used our digital menu platform a lot to kind of have that communication keep going for parents that were either visiting the menus online, or students looking at the menus on their phone the morning of. And it provided a great outlet for us too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. So we actually have a digital menu platform as well, and so that's proven to help quite a bit, just consolidate all of the communications that go out, because most of the time when there's updates to the menu, we have online ordering as well, so just being able to do it on their phone. Texting works really well for us too, just especially if it's you know, things like low balance and things that we need to communicate pretty urgently to parents, or if there was a severe menu change, like something is just out of stock and not available, especially with the supply chain issues that have been happening recently. So I know that's something that our customers really, really love utilizing. But you know, sometimes I always think about what are the out of the box ideas that we could potentially help spread the message to our communities, because as just like Karen said, it's not only the parents and the families, but it's also your community members, right? The folks that are in your neighborhood and the restaurants that are in your neighborhood, and being able to kind of help spread that word. And so I'm super interested to hear if you guys have any out of the box kind of ideas as to how we can help schools and districts spread the message to community members.
Well, we started to use the Nextdoor app a little bit. That is basically community based. So we post things in certain zip codes. So
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I
What's
never
it
even
called?
thought about the
Nextdoor.
Next door.
Where you
That's a
see
great
if
idea.
there's a lost dog in the
Yeah.
neighborhood, or but
Yeah.
it is really
Or that
your
person
closest
that's stealing your
community-based.
packages.
Yeah, that too. But real quick on the topic of apps, so Taylor Blake has put in the chat that their school system is actually using the Remind app to send out information, which is probably outside of just nutrition, but they're leveraging for nutrition as
Right.
well. So I think that there's kind of already a consistent trend here with how we can leverage apps and additional apps outside of just our solutions in schools.
right.
cool.
So
Good tools we
basically
have.
trying to give the parents information where they're already receiving it from the school. So like the Remind app, School Messenger, where you can give emails, texts, and even voicemails, whatever. So just utilizing what the school district already has. So,
And then what the community has with Nextdoor apps.
right.
It's a great idea.
That's
yeah,
a
I love
neat
that idea.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what do you share and where do you share it in terms of social media?
I try and be a little conscious about what I'm sharing. I don't post every day.
What platforms are you on?
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I
Okay.
post more on Facebook
Why?
just because I think that's what I'm more comfortable with my age.
Are there more
27. What are you
well,
talking about?
Are there more followers? Is that where you also
I
connect
actually
more with
do
the
have more
parents?
followers, a lot
Okay,
more
okay.
followers. So yeah, it makes more sense. And then trying to figure out how to spin it a little differently so you're not sharing the same thing on each one.
But which are the-
That's actually really important. I want to
Yeah,
you don't want to
Yeah.
post the same thing on
Yeah.
every single platform. You
Right.
gotta vary it a little bit.
Well, her point is really important. So the audience is different.
That's what I
Right.
was getting
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah.
is probably for the parents.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're communicating to parents about the nutritional value and
I think kids have the Facebook because, like those boys that I brought up earlier, their stuff was what they were sharing on Facebook. They have like secret Facebook accounts or something. I don't know.
Facebook
Like they're
accounts.
embarrassed to say they have it.
On
or
Instagram,
something,
the
but
fake accounts where you,
yeah, they're
good too.
Finstas, not
Finsta, sorry. Man, I am really out of the loop. I don't even-
But so I think they share it when they like they were excited to share their stuff on there, when they were featured on there. But I try and be conscious because like if I'm scrolling through my own Facebook, if I see something from a company every single day, I just kind of go, and just keep scrolling. Whereas if I see something that I hadn't seen in a while, I'm like, oh, look at that. So I kind of do it the same way. I just use my own mindset of how I would look at it. But
So how many times a week are you posting on Facebook?
probably 3 times a week, but I try and make sure it's something that I think everybody would want to know about, like really spreading the news about our farm to school program or, different things like that. This past week we had a cute little new menu item and it had the emoji waffles and
Okay.
just trying to make it fun, trying to make it interesting, again, trying to show the real food that we're serving. If I can get kids on there for a little while, our district's good as far as getting kids in photos and letting me share them as long as it's in a positive light. Through the pandemic, there was something where they kind of cut that back a little bit, but usually the kids are excited to be filmed. They want to see your phone after you've filmed them on something, but I just feel it's a win-win if we can get people talking about using the social influencing and making sure they're talking about our program.
And we love that from the industry standpoint. We love looking at what all of the different schools are doing.
Yeah.
So when we are connected with a school district, we're able to take their message that they're sending out, put it on our social media, send it through our channels, and then that may let somebody, say in California, oh, well, that's what they're doing in Florida, or just really kind of spark ideas that way. And we love being able to do that for our partners that we work with. like Karen.
So at your district, do parents have to opt out of having their children's photos taken, or how do you guys handle that? 'Cause I know every district has a different policy as far
Yeah,
as who
usually
can-
I take more caution with elementary age kids. You know, the school that I'm most familiar with in our district was the one I worked at, where my kids were at, but we just had everybody sign a release, but only if they didn't want to be in pictures. So
Okay.
that's a lot easier, because teachers usually know, like, so-and-so definitely don't put them in any photos. And, you know, it's a lot more, you have to be more cautious. There's a lot more details that are going on privately with littles versus the high school kids.
Yeah.
They can easily say, yes, go ahead, share my photo. I don't care.
Please share
It's
my
good."
photo because they all want
Yeah,
attention.
yeah.
And I know they love it when their pictures are on the digital menu
They
boards. too.
do.
They
Yeah, I
absolutely
do that a
love
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about Instagram or Insta or IG? how do you utilize that?
He's using slang.
Just a little, you know, just general messages. I really don't dive into it a huge amount because, like she was saying, I don't have a huge amount of followers on there. So
Who are your followers typically on Instagram?
my friend, no.
It's just your friends.
No, when I first started 9 years ago, that was the first thing I did. I went down my list, checked all my parent friends, because my kids were in elementary school when I started. So again, I was that parent that stayed home just like all my friends, you know, but I wanted them to see what school meals were offering. So went in and just selected all my
Yeah, I think
friends,
that-
and then they shared it and they shared it.
Yeah, getting the initial followers is a pain point for a lot of districts,
Yeah.
because it's like you don't know these kids personally to be able to say, oh yeah, hey, let me, you know, and that's often frowned upon in a lot of school districts as well. So, you know, really kind of coming up with the promotions or the ideas as to how to reach these kids where they already are can be tricky, but there's a lot of people that do it well, that are out there, K-12, that do it well. You've got Gwinnett that does it well. You guys, your Facebook is awesome. Joe in Greenville, some of the major players. You've got Dallas. They do a great job of being able to find the kids where they are, come up with something fun and cool that they want to participate in, whether there are prizes involved or not. You know, that's always an added bonus. But you know, that's a resource that Scotty can help provide some districts too. Something that we as Tyson love to be able to help our partners come up with is different ways that you can come up with drawing people in.
I piggybacked off of them. Y'all did like a hashtag promotion on your Instagram, where if kids came through, chose a certain thing, do hashtag whatever. So I kind of piggybacked off that, using that promotion to be able to do drawings or something like that for the kids.
So stepping outside of social a little bit too, we've actually got an interesting comment about marketing programs at district sporting events, that they're actually seriously considering a nutrition mascot that would also give out healthy snacks at some of the events going on, similar to Tyson's Chicken. But kind of an interesting idea too. We're leveraging social, I'm sure, to help promote some of that, but also thinking a little bit outside of the box, like we talked about earlier,
that's
across
neat.
the community, and that also does reach the community as to what the nutrition program's doing. So
Yeah,
I don't think that's a bad idea. I don't
That
know if
ties
there's
into
any-
some of the branding too,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
getting a character around it, building some.
Maybe somehow it matches the districts. I know when I was in high school, we were the Tigers. I don't know how you bring that in.
Turn it into-
Somehow the Tigers and the I don't know if you want to put a chicken, Tyson's Chicken and a tiger together. But I think that's a great idea. I don't know if there's any
But yeah,
other.
put that one on your
any
menu.
other thoughts there.
So usually, like, especially in high school, we try to tie it into the school's mascot because they're
Yeah.
very proud of their mascot, so we don't have like things clashing. So yeah, it will be something tied into that.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea.
I bet that would help with also just naming some of the meals or the menu items during the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just, the
Customizing
concession
menu item names.
stand and help brand some of those items too, to help just get everybody on the same page and rile them up.
Yeah. So what do you do when social media goes wrong?
I have some poll answers already for this too,
Oh, do you
Marlon.
really?
I do, yeah. But let's get started
When it
with
goes
Karen.
wrong, I actually take it as a personal mission to win those people over. Like I said earlier, I've been on instant messaging them at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, I'm not letting it defeat me. I'll go into Maria's office, our director, and like, I can't believe this, and I'm gonna win them over, and I get them to take their messages down. And I've been a winner in that situation many,
Oh, good
many
for you.
times. Because I don't want it to continue to stay up there and just all of these. People don't read the messages sometimes. They just read the post and then they just keep commenting. I had that happen last year or the year before, and the messages just kept building and building and building, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got to find this original poster and I've got to get this down. So I was reaching out to people, checking who their friends were and going through that. Finally found them and won them over. They were able to take it down, and I was like, just took a deep breath and whew, saved that one. But I immediately start commenting from the district. I post pictures, like one of them was a negative picture, kind of like I was talking about earlier, that their child went through and just chose chips and cheese. How could this be that this is what they're serving our kids, that's the only thing they had to choose from? So I immediately called a school that was still serving lunch, and I said, I want you to take a picture of what a complete nacho grande meal would have looked like if they would have chose all of the good veggies, the fruit, everything to go with it, what their meal would have looked like. So I'm posting that. And then all of a sudden, I had people defending us, and they were sending pictures, and they were saying that's not what the kids' meal should have looked like. So I felt like we're winning and we're doing a good job getting that message out there when we're having parents defend us. I had one lady that was real defiant, not wanting to take her post down one time, and I said, well, could you at least go back and at the top of your post say update? I've spoken to someone at the district. They've been very kind and handled all of my concerns. So I'm turning off all of the post comments at this point.
Yeah.
And they did, you know, and I'm sitting there watching it like, they haven't done it yet. It's been 2 minutes. Why haven't they done it yet? And I'm instant messaging back. Did you forget? You're going to update your post, right? And so,
Karen's
you know,
gonna get them.
yeah, I will
That's
not
great,
let
though.
them
Quick
defeat
response
me.
and turn. It's like what you just being responsive.
Being
and-
responsive.
and being able to think quickly and be like, well,
So
let's convey this.
Yeah.
Let's educate this better.
it's a really important point. So people often think that social media is a part-time role.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
full
it's
time.
definitely
It's
not.
full time.
It's
No.
full-time.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work. And I think that's where I think the misconception is that, oh, I'll just, you know, we'll have an intern who works on this for 5 hours a week. We'll just post up some stuff and then
Call it a day.
call it a day
Yeah.
and clock out. But
it's real engagement and
right.
responsiveness and thought.
And that's where the misconception mostly is about, you know, because when you're trying to gain followers and you're trying to get that engagement, you have to be on it. You have to follow back. You have to comment on other people's posts to be able to get them to follow you.
Sometimes because they're posting it on, like in our district, we have Gainesville word of mouth, you know, and I follow that page. I try and follow as many pages as I can because you never know where something about school meals is going to pop up. So I make sure that I also sometimes answer as myself because people started tagging me in things and letting me see that, hey, there's something that's said about school meals. You may want to jump on here and take a look or answer them because they saw how proactive I am in making sure that things are taken care of. And so it's kind of important, in my opinion, to put that personal element along with it because anybody can pound on a business, but when they have that personal element and they know that they can contact me at any point, call me, here's my number, and I'll
yeah.
fix
Great.
it.
I think that's important too because that shows that you're being transparent. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this isn't just somebody behind a computer tapping away, responding to you.
Yeah.
And I know that that's something that, you know, we used to do in our district. We also do it as Tyson. You know, we have social media as well. And when things go bad there, we like to keep full transparency to let the people know and reinforce our commitment to K-12 and that we're here to help and we're here to fix and we are here to feed kids.
Yeah.
Right.
I also tell our staff members and managers, like, I don't care what time it is. If you see something, you email me and let me know that something's out there because we're all a team. They're out there, they're doing a fantastic job. representing our program every day, so they
Yeah.
sometimes, get their feelings hurt as well, and want to defend it. But I'm like, let me do it, let me do it, and we'll take care of it. And you guys are doing great at what you're doing, and I just also like to make sure our team is recognized for what they do. We have a fantastic chef in our department that we like to highlight, Kristen Williams. She's watching,
awesome.
I think.
Hey,
We have it's all a team. It's not just me. It's our directors, fabulous. Maria always is innovative and trying to do new things, and it's everybody, the family of food and nutrition.
So what do you guys do in terms of creating content? Do you have certain champions within the district that you allow to post directly to social media? Do they have to funnel images to you?
Oh, everything needs to go to me.
Why?
Yeah. Huh?
Right.
Why? I know why, but why?
I've had managers post things, but I just say, if you're going to share anything, just share it from our page. Send it to me, let me post it, share it from our page. Because even during the pandemic, I had to update even our sites frequently. And if they shared their own post and I had my original post, I could always update my original post, the versions of it. And it was out there, thousands of times. People had viewed it, shared it thousands of times. At least if I could go back to that original post and make my edit, they're always going to have real-time information. So that was important.
And
but
it's coming from the same voice. We talked earlier about branding, and when it's a message coming from the same voice, it all looks the same, and again builds that trust. And
I'm not a control freak.
No, absolutely not.
Would have never. Well, so a while back, because I wanted to make sure we had this ready, was asking everyone how they respond to, and a majority, 85% of everyone who polled, they respond. But there are a handful who don't, or they get a little discouraged and do nothing. So, what are some tips to kind of the negative? We've got to respond to it.
So you have to respond to it, but sometimes it's negative and you take it personal. So just kind of.
I think that's the one here who's discouraged a little bit. How do we get them undiscouraged?
So basically, take a minute, think about what's being said, and then just think about a positive message put out there. Take it to whatever it's about. Take it to let's say if a menu issue. Take it to the menu writer and just kind of get all the information that you can, and just kind of explain what's going on. Sometimes I know it is very difficult to you just want to lash out, but that's not going to
take a step back.
Just take a step back.
Yeah.
I've done it plenty of times. I'll see it and I'm immediately want to jump on it, but I just step back,
remove the emotion.
Yep. Walk around for a while. Go talk to the menu writer.
It's so hard to not be emotional about it because let's face it, everyone that works in this industry is there because it's their passion.
Right.
Their passion's feeding children. So how can you not take it personally?
So basically you do that, but you have to respond, showing that you are responsible, you take responsibility for what's out there, and then just talk about the action you're going to take to correct the issue and make sure that it doesn't happen again.
I mean, I say this all the time, saying nothing is worse than saying something.
There's so much value in just responding. So for the 12% who just don't do anything, what's the biggest message of them understanding how much value doing something is over doing nothing?
It strengthens the voice of your program.
Right.
Well, it makes it seem like you're guilty that you are doing what they think you're doing.
That's a great point too.
That you don't care, whatever. So that's the perception of
that
school.
there's not that passion behind it.
Right.
Yeah, I think as school districts, we have to control that perception. And one of the best ways to do that, Joe Urban taught me this. He was like, I always post pictures of smiling kids eating healthy and nutritious foods. That's what he said. He's like, that's all I do.
And it works.
It works. Apparently it's working.
And the food looks delicious.
Yeah.
It really does too. Yeah.
When we were allowed to
is
have
delicious.
parents come eat at the school, I would invite them to come.
Yeah.
Like,
Huge,
come have lunch with me.
You had a little lunch date.
I had a
recently?
little lunch date. Yes, I did. I got to
think
go
that's
eat
great,
at my
having
son's
parents
school.
there.
It was amazing. I think, and again, that's where, because, my picky eater, I'm going to keep saying it. But
I wonder where he gets that from.
I'm not.
I don't know. It may actually be Nisha Marlin.
Yeah,
I may
it
know
might
it's
be.
Nisha.
I love lots of foods. And so, sitting down with him and being able to have a tray and being able to explain that and share that experience with him and actually go through the food line. And I wish schools had the capacity to be able to do that for every grade and every parent, because again, I think
I think definitely elementary school too, though, when they are still going back to the go, no go, they're still learning so much about nutrition, and then that parent is coming in early to understand.
Yeah.
So at the elementary school level, I think it's even more valuable to grow from there. And as we come out of the pandemic, and we're able to do some of those things.
Usually the Thanksgiving meal is really huge in elementary schools, and we would have hundreds of parents come to all of our elementary schools for that. And when I first started, well, I remember when my son was in kindergarten going to eat, and I was like, I looked at my lunch, it didn't look appealing, and again, like I said earlier, presentation's everything. So you had the chipped up turkey in the gravy on top of the mashed potatoes. It tasted fantastic, but it was hard to get past that look and say, this looks appealing. I really want to dive into this and eat it. So when I first started, the Chef Moss was there at the time. So we have these beautiful turkey roast that we would get, and they were getting chopped up and put in the gravy. So we started slicing our turkeys. It was a great time to have the parents see what we're doing. And the chipped turkey in the gravy over the mashed potatoes wasn't representing the fabulous stuff we were doing every day.
Yeah.
So we changed it up. We sliced the turkeys, had everything, and that presentation made such a difference in what that meal looked like. It was the same food, it was just presented differently. And same like our customization line. It's the same food we serve at the elementary level, but it's deconstructed. Our food truck does the same thing. And the kids have a whole different mindset that it's not school
Definitely
food.
true.
It's
I grew up with
something
my
different.
grandmom, and my mom always told me it's
Yep.
all about presentation.
Yep.
And it is something that you can look at your school meal and kind of say, how can we present this a little differently to where it's on that social, even that kid may be taking a picture of their lunch too. And
Cameras
it's something
are
that may
everywhere.
be easy to take. It's something that's probably a little bit easy to take a second look at.
Yeah.
Influencer marketing.
Yep.
There you go.
It works.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
and
may,
kids.
you may need a little master class on influencer marketing.
Yeah, we should do that.
We talk to
should do
new
that.
staff members even when I have classes with them, and I said, go around to the other side of the line and look at it from the customer vantage point. And are you proud of what you have out there, before the customers come in?
Yeah, and kids eat with their eyes. I was
Yep.
talking to a district up in Indiana, Jordan Ryan, shout out to Jordan out there, Brownsburg, Indiana. And she said that, so they redid their cafeteria or their dining space, right? And they were serving the same food in this new remodeled space that they were serving at like a grab and go type of setup they had. And it was the same exact items,
Yep.
but the kids said the food tasted
Yep.
better inside the new restaurant or dining area just because it was presented slightly differently, but it was the same exact food.
Packaging too.
Yeah.
We changed a lot of our packaging. In the high schools, we do the boats, the 5-pound boats that you see at a lot of quick serve restaurants. So they feel elevated. They're not carrying that same lunch tray that they were in elementary school. So that made a big difference too.
Yeah. So if we're going to control that perception of child nutrition and we're going to do it through images of food, do you have any tips that you could give to other districts out there as far as how you guys do your plate presentations?
So when I take pictures of it, I want to make sure you look at every single part of it. I've taken pictures and then gone back to the office like, oh my gosh, there's a crumb there. It doesn't look good. So just having it look, take a lot of effort in making sure that it looks pretty, it looks nice. Our food pictures are a lot different than commercial stuff. I've seen things on social media where the syrup on the pancakes is actually motor oil,
But the photo shoot like McDonald's does, but it's not even real food.
We don't spend hours placing that sesame seed on top of the bun, but
you don't
making
have
sure
to
it's
your point.
real, it looks like what the students are going to get.
You'll get called out if it doesn't.
Right.
Cameras nowadays, you don't have to go and buy
It
a
doesn't have
high-end
to be an
camera.
iStock professional
Right.
thing, but
but
as
just
real,
make sure
but,
your background is clear. You don't have a bunch of boxes stacked up in the background. I usually try and come over it, kind of elevate the tray a little bit, that kind of thing, just to make sure presentation. We have logoed paper. I think y'all have it too. And I put the logoed paper down below everything just to kind of make sure that they know that's something that we took in our district. It's not a stock
Those are some
photo.
really great tips.
Yeah.
Have you
great
ever
tips.
tried using a light box?
Yes. It's just more to carry around.
Is that like a ring light for,
Well,
for,
it's like
for the
a
lunchroom tray?
it's like a big white box, but it has LED lights on the inside.
It's a
So
game
it's like a
changer.
ring light
Yeah.
for food.
Kind of,
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
Yeah, and you
all
can
right.
change, you can dim it, you can make it brighter, change the tone, do all sorts of stuff, and you just.
I would imagine you can find this on Amazon too.
Yeah.
Some
You
people
absolutely
very-
can.
These are great tips.
I feel like you guys should start giving some of your customers light boxes.
We can get some LINQ light boxes.
Link
There
light
you go.
boxes, yeah, why not? But
I'll
even
look to Nisha for that, obviously.
but even that's a great way to present your food, and you could like if you're serving barbecue or something one day, you can create like a little barbecue scene inside the light box and take a picture. So it's
Yeah.
just a really
Yeah,
easy way to
yeah.
take a high quality
Yeah.
photo.
I'm going to go back to what you said earlier. Actually having kids and eating and enjoying the
Yeah.
food
Yeah.
goes a long way too.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, the presentation is
It
great.
doesn't just look good, it really
right.
does taste
So
good.
having that proof of concept of it actually, people are
Yeah.
eating it, it actually is good.
Yeah, because we can talk all day long
right.
that everything we do is fantastic, but
Right.
if the kids aren't talking about us
Right.
and they're not enjoying it, then
So what can you do to get the kids to talk about it? Like, how did you turn that one kid into an influencer for you? Just serve awesome food at a food
Yep.
truck? Like, what do you do? Because that's the
Yeah.
key right there. Let's get the
Yeah.
kids talking about
Yeah.
it, and the parents too.
when we launched the customization line at one of our middle schools, the kids went out and they were talking about it, and we had a staff member come in and he said, I have worked at this school for 11 years and I've never eaten school lunch, but because of the positive things that the kids were saying, I decided to come in and give it a try, and he said, this won't be the last time I eat school lunch.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, and maybe sometimes there are new menu items.
Yes.
I imagine somebody's trying something new. There is a, we all know this, word of mouth with kids. They want what the others are
Yes.
doing.
Yeah,
And
it's meant to make it cool
yes.
to eat school lunch.
Yes. So finding some of those new things and using them to, I think last night we were talking about taste testing, and so maybe a little less, but going through and really just trying to find a couple of them to be those trendsetters and be that kind of source of word of mouth.
Yes. So what we did in Orange, we had focus groups, and we liked to have the kids in there that did not really eat lunch with us, and then they were wild. They would go out and talk about it. So
Yeah.
basically, we tried to target the student government associations, athletes, things like that, get their buy-in, and then as the term's been used, viral, it will go viral
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
they're on board.
Yeah.
So to turn the
athletes
naysayers into
especially, they're-
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of maybe giving them samples and then having them share it with their
Yeah.
friends,
yeah.
right?
That's a good
idea.
So if they're part of their focus group, they eat it, and if they like it, you say, hey, here's a box
Take
of
it
it.
to your friends.
Go distribute.
take it to
to
your
your
table.
friends.
Smart. That's
Yeah.
really
And
smart.
then,
That's a
you
good
know, if
idea.
it's an athlete, he goes up to his friends and he says, hey, I want to try these kebabs or whatever they are.
and I think your athletes,
Bobs.
they're in almost every group that you see in the schools too,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's great.
That's
Good
neat.
idea.
That's neat. So as a food manufacturer, do you guys offer any sort of added support whenever maybe a district like Karen has a new product? Like, how are you guys helping your customers?
So
promote it?
we welcome the opportunity to come in and help with samples. I think it was probably around November, December, Dallas. They reached out about wanting some new items on their menu. We offer support to send the products in. We offer to go in, but of course, right now people are not accepting visitors. So we just basically sent them support, like little surveys to help out with taste tests, things like that. So anything that we can do, we'd like to get in there in person and go through it with them. But we understand that right now we can't do that. But
Yeah. Well, Karen, if you ever do in-person taste testing, I'm happy to go there and support and also taste all the food.
Can I go too? I'll go too.
I like to use after school groups. That's a nice, ready, set group. And they like to talk about what we're doing, take their parents actually, when they're picking them up, they can see what we're doing. So you're kind of getting a win-win because the parents are coming to pick up their kids from after school care. And then they come over and they take a look about what you're doing. And the kids are also asking for extra samples to take home or to let their parents try it too. So that's a good group that I've found to work with.
So how often is it that you have a parent try one of your meals and you just completely blow their mind because they had no idea that your food was restaurant quality food?
We did a Dad's Day, Dads Take Your Kid to School Day.
Okay.
And the dad, I was at one of the schools and walked up and was just chatting with the dad, and he said he had just been there the other day and had one of our salads, and we were doing, had strawberries, blueberries, spiced walnuts, and a house-made pineapple basil vinaigrette dressing.
Oh, wow, that's bougie.
And he was just floored,
Yeah.
that he's like, that's the best salad I've ever had. And
where did he
so-
get that salad? What school district?
We're actually bringing it back. It's like the McRib, so we're bringing it back
Got
in
an
a couple
LTO?
weeks. So yeah, an LTO. Limited time offer for
Right,
those.
right.
I remember our chef Moss, when he was there, he'd talk about LTOs all the time. I'm like, what is he? All these acronyms. So
Do you find you get increased participation when you have LTOs?
yeah, they like to see it kind of rolling back around again, and getting to try something new. So.
Well, that amplifies the whole idea of, getting the kids to is LTOs.
Yeah.
Then
Right.
too, that
Getting
gives
them
you that next
excited.
Get it while you can.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the next opportunity to then influence some of those kids to influence the rest of them.
Yeah. We've still, through the pandemic supply chain, luckily we've been able to still offer many options to our students, which has been nice. I've seen other districts, unfortunately, that have been struggling and only been able to offer one entree item or something like that. So I feel really good that our district's been able to still offer a lot of options. So knock on wood.
Right.
Are you
Through the end of the
using
school year.
Are you using social media to kind of get ahead of the communication with parents regarding supply chain? Or 'cause I know some districts may not be communicating it, and then some districts are. What
Yeah,
are you
I've
guys doing?
seen a lot of districts posting things. Like I said, unfortunately, the only thing that we have struggled with is the paper goods.
Yeah.
Having to cut the clamshell in half to use, for 2 plates. The high schoolers weren't real thrilled with that. They said we were, I can't even say the word, but
We know where you're going.
yeah, they weren't real thrilled with that option, but you got to do what you got to do, and I saw a lot of districts nationwide that were having to kind of do the same thing. So
Well, that's something that you guys are good at, is finding a way, and you guys evolve and adapt. Like, regardless of what the situation is, like, you work with what you have and make the best of it. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of parents out there don't understand what's going on and the work that you guys are putting in
Yeah.
to feed their children. Yeah.
it's just important to get it out there if you have to, but right now we're going on we're usually on a 3-week menu cycle. We're switching it up and doing the same menu for 3 weeks, like not rotating to a 3-week menu cycle. And someone asked me the other day, was I going to share that? And I said, nope. Because it's not that important.
Yeah.
They probably won't even notice.
Yep.
So to put it out there that, hey, we're going to run the same menu every week for 3 weeks, and then we'll switch it up and do another menu for 3 weeks, it just wasn't important. Now, if someone says something about it, then I may say,
Yeah.
we're doing something, but I don't think anybody's even going to notice.
So real quick, we didn't talk about Twitter yet. What do you post on Twitter?
So I try and share things on Twitter, like kind of share from from our school board posts, things like that. Again, I don't have as many followers on the Twitter account, but just mixing up the message that I'm sharing on Facebook really is what I'm doing on there.
Do you see more parents on Twitter or students? What?
I see more of
Industry.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
mainly what it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
I don't think
What about
students are.
community? Yeah, I don't think, but going back to talking about community earlier, I actually, as a parent, go on Twitter to actually look at the local news, see what's going on.
The hashtags. Yeah.
What the helicopter, we have that because we live near an Army base in Austin, so we're always looking at the hashtag what the helicopter. So I actually use it to understand what's going on in the community, because I know that there are other community members like the EMS, the news, that are posting within there. So it may be kind of using that as well as Nextdoor app to try and expand that influence across the community.
We saw a lot of that going on too during the pandemic, where a school that was giving out boxes of meals, they would use Twitter to give real-time updates like, hey, we have inclement weather, we're going to postpone the distribution of the meals until a later time, or we're changing from serving it in the front of the school to the bus loop, or using it for more of those real-time messages, and then any sort of like fun news.
And I think media still really heavily uses it. So maybe it is looking more at your Twitter as how does this shape from influence to industry to how you make it, how do I become part of this media and community level?
So I think just as a foundation, right, we were going back to if somebody's brand new to social and trying to figure out how to get into it, I think just based off of where Scotty came from as far as just groundwork, but then the other thing is really just constructing a framework per channel and then dissecting it out to say what audience am I targeting in this channel, right? So if it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and then what is the goal? So what am I trying to, for this specific audience, what am I trying to relay to them? And if you just have that matrix of I think that's a great way to start, because again, there's so many different audiences and so many different things that you could be saying. And so just making sure that you're saying the right thing to the right person at the right time is so important.
Yep.
And we have tips, tricks, and tools on our TysonK12.com page that will help districts that are either in it and looking which way to go or looking to start building it. We've got those resources available to help out.
Right.
So everybody email Scotty for resources.
That's right.
right.
Scotty.Ferguson.
No.
He's like, please don't share my email.
So we do have we provided a link to our Tyson K-12 site. On there, we also have our marketing builder. So we'll share that information to where you can go and get our POS there. But yeah, we have the resource. We'll be more than happy to share them with you. If you share your social media handles, our team will follow you back and we can connect that way.
What about Team LINQ? What are your handles? Where are your resources? What do you guys have for districts out there in closing?
Absolutely, yeah. We can send a few things. I think most of what we like to do is just really help with the digital menus and making sure that folks are just aware about, just from an educational perspective, right, what goes into the menu itself. So we can share some of our menu planning ideas.
And we do quite a bit of what Jen said too. We follow all of you guys and want to look to help facilitate seeing what each other's doing to help drive more engagement for each individual district.
Yeah. And Karen, where can people follow you on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter?
At Your Choice Fresh.
All right, awesome.
Nice and easy.
Right.
Well, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you everybody out there watching. If you guys have some cool photos, anything you want to share on social media, send them to all of us. We will all reshare for you. And you've been watching Next Up Live. See you guys next time.